Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Lead Through Sport, the podcast, aka Spotlight Thursdays. Y'all know what time it is. Today we have one of those. We have Miss All Purpose, I like to call her, Shalyn Moore. How you doing today?
I'm cool. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I can't complain. So, I like to inform my audience on what's going on. So, Lead Through Sport is a platform that spotlights former and current athletes, entrepreneurs, and creators on their journey to success, providing people with knowledge nuggets for life. And we already know you fit that bill in every way, shape, and form. So, without further ado, let's get started. So, let's go ahead and break the ice. Give us your age, your educational background, and a fun fact. You don't gotta do age if you don't want to. But
So I'm gonna let that be a surprise.
why?
What you said educational background?
Uh-huh.
Okay. I'm a 2-time VSU graduate, so Virginia State University. That's my alma mater. It's a HBCU. Very proud Trojan, obviously. And then I'm getting my doctorate now at Liberty University. That's my educational background. And what was your other? Oh, I'm from Hampton, Virginia, and
Fun fact. It was a little fun fact. What don't we know about Shalyns?
Fun fact. Hold on. I'm interested.
Interesting.
A fun fact is really not coming to me. Hold on. Fun fact. For the past week, I've been working my old job and my new job. So it's been a little...
fun fact. That is a fun fact because that's different. That's different, but we're gonna get it done, right?
Yeah.
Got to. So I want to talk about, your journey, this SID journey, this, women in sports journey. And you're currently the SID for Hampton University, and that's sports information director. But I want to talk about your start. So when were you first introduced to, sports information or just, the athletic realm in general?
Probably my sophomore year in college. Before I got to college, I really didn't know sports was going to be the path I went down. Like, I knew I liked sports, but I really didn't see, we see female broadcasters, but I really didn't understand, no, women can work in sports. I didn't see it enough around me, or I didn't see it to know, oh, there's options, I could do that. So, but then my sophomore year, I started getting really involved because I love sports. So I started interning. From there, I continued interning throughout my graduate years, doing a lot of different internships, whether it was at my university, at the conference office, just anything I could get my hands on that was related to sports, communications, and media. And then another thing I did, which I didn't know how smart it was when I did it, but I was in the mass communications program, but I wanted to learn what the sports management students were learning. So I took all of my electives in sports management. So I was getting the best of both worlds because I took all their opportunities, and then I was also being able to take all the mass comm opportunities as well. So once I started getting to my junior year, I really realized you have options in this thing, stick with it. So that's what I did. And then that led to a paid graduate assistantship as well.
And that was at VSU, the paid graduate internship. And what's the internship? Because you might have some women, young ladies watching this that may want to, take your footsteps. What was that internship like for you?
For me, it was being a sponge. So during the time that I interned, we didn't have a sports information director. So a lot of times, once I really put my foot in the door, I was getting tasked with things that a normal student wouldn't do. I was writing all the post-game stories. I was covering, I was the announcer when the announcer didn't show up. But it was because I put myself in the position to always be there and be present. And I wasn't one of those people that were I've never done it before, so no. Even if I was crazy nervous, I would still do it just because I'm all right, all I can do is mess up once and then I got it. So I slowly but surely started to assume roles that I know a normal intern wouldn't do, and that paid off for me. But the biggest thing that paid off for me as an intern was, like I said, I love my alma mater. HBCUs have a special place in my heart. So my senior year, it was just a lot of things that I'm we could do so much better. We have all these resources. If we use them a certain way to our advantage, this is what we can do. So I made a binder of all my ideas, and I just asked the AD, I was hey, can I meet with you? Went to meet with the athletic director, and I gave her the binder, and I was I'm graduating, but these were just ideas that I had based off of my time here that we can do. And so from there, she asked me, what are you doing next? And I told her, I'm like, I'm going to take a year off, then I'm going to probably go to Georgetown because they had a sports administration program that I was very interested in. And she asked me that same day, she said, if I give you a graduate full scholarship for your master's, it was an athletic scholarship and I was not a student athlete, would I say? So I stayed. So staying there for my master's was it wasn't my plan, but a lot of times, God is laughing at our plans because he's like, I already have another door for you open that you don't even know about. So that's kind of fun story about internships leading to other opportunities.
That's wonderful. You got to tell me though, what was that first time you had to announce? What was that? Like? Was that? I know that was nerve-wracking. How did it go?
I was excited, but then I was nervous too. And I mean, I've announced a lot of our games at Elizabeth City this year where I'm leaving. Actually, I announced the Hampton game before I even, like maybe the day after I got the job, they was like, the announcer's not here. Can you announce? So at this point, I'm comfortable with it. The only thing that I still don't like about announcing, I'm not an animated person. Like I'm not that extra person that just does the most. So I don't like doing starting lineups because you have to be loud and try to get the crowd pumped up. Now I'll do it, but it's not my favorite part. So
I feel that. So moving on from there, because we could there's a lot that you've done in that realm, but we gotta move on. So you were at CNU, you were a student athlete academic success coach, and that was your first actual just paid job, not with school attached, correct? As far as in sports, athletics, college athletics.
Not necessarily, but a little bit. Not necessarily. The grad assistantship I did at the MEAC was paid as well. Mm-hmm. But it was my first job as far as that, realm of student athlete development.
Mm-hmm. I got you. And then you went on to be ECSU's Associate AD of Communications / Student Advisory Committee Advisor, Student Athlete Advisory Committee Advisor. Mm-hmm. You then took on a lot at ECSU. Take me from your first year there and then build me up from 2022.
So I'm definitely grateful for my time, the opportunity, I should say. For my first year there, I'll start with day one. My first day at ECSU was a football home game before homecoming, and they hadn't had a SID since the year started. So just imagine day one at your job and you're running the entire home football game. Mm-hmm. So it was crazy. I got thrown in the fire. I talked about being a sponge, but those sponge experiences helped me be able to just go in there and not get frustrated quickly, because I got thrown in the fire day one. And my boss from there, the AD, he always would tell people when we would get new hires and he would feel like they're getting thrown in the fire, he would be like, well, Shalyn got thrown in the fire her first day, kind of bragged about it. Yeah. So yeah, it was hectic from day one. What a lot of people don't realize is HBCUs, especially Division II, we don't have the same personnel staff. We don't have the same resources. So you may look at it and say sports information director. Well, if you know what the role is, that's a million jobs in one. I cover all of our sports. I do all the stories. I do all the social media by myself. I do all the videos. I do all the stuff the NCAA gets. I do all the stuff the conference gets, as well as rosters, management, all those things, stats, anything you can think about. But also at ECSU, I'm game day operations. I'm marketing and sponsorships because we don't have that. So that's what a lot of people don't understand. Football season, maybe with the help of one intern, it's me setting up the press box. It's me staffing the personnel that you see that actually run the game. The scoreboard, the statistician, the game book. So it's a lot because where I'm going now, there's actually jobs. So there might be 10 people doing the things that I was doing by myself. So, but again, it was something that I embraced. I felt like they took a chance on me. And so I always try to be a sponge and be optimistic. Was it stressful? Yes. Did I have days that I went home and cried or didn't sleep? Absolutely. But it had its benefits.
That's real. So tell us about some of the things that you created and brought there. I didn't see that you changed, you changed the trajectory of that, that realm at ECSU. I seen some that you doubled the followers. You done created a lot of stuff. Go ahead, talk to us about some of that.
Yeah, so I definitely doubled the social footprint. Before I got there, social media pages were the worst I've ever seen. To this day, I still will say that. So I when I say like during grad school and even after like I graduated, I always taught myself things. So I'm one of those people, like, you know how you have your own show. You may have a graphic designer that makes your graphics, but you have to wait for them to do it. And sometimes that can get frustrating. I'm the type of person that I will eventually teach myself how to do something. And so being that type of personality paid off because we didn't no longer have to like hire somebody to do graphics. I do all our graphics, videos. I do all our videos, interviews. We don't have to wait for media to come in. I made my own press room and I do all our interviews. So those were things that they were not used to. And if they did have them, they may have them for like one homecoming game or something like that. But I was able to provide those things on a consistent basis. Also, this past December, we got a state-of-the-art Daktronics scoreboard, audio board, sound system, all those great things. So because I know video and graphics and those things, I was able to help facilitate that coming into the arena, which are huge upgrades for that university.
Mm-hmm. That's good. Can you tell us, if you don't mind, can you tell us one of your like most chaotic days at ECSU?
Man, that probably was about a month ago. Man,
really?
It's honestly been several. I really can't pinpoint one. I cannot pinpoint one. Game days are crazy for me. So it would probably be a game day, but I can't pick one. I just know game days are crazy for me. Because you're working. The thing people don't realize, game days might be a 12-hour day because I'm there. Shoot around is always about an hour and a half before tip off. I'm there probably 2 hours before shoot around to set up the sound system, set up the scoreboard, make sure that when they start practicing, I start the clock at 60 minutes, make sure the referees are where they're supposed to be, make sure the scripts are good. So I'm there game days probably 3 hours before the game starts. And then we have double headers. So if it's like basketball double headers or football, those are long game days, softball as well. Then what people don't realize, I break down everything after when everyone else gets to go home. Yay, we won, we lost, the day is done. You know, SIDs are going home to write the story. And I'm from Hampton. I lived in Hampton the whole time I worked at ECSU. So yeah, there's the commute too. So I commuted, then I'm in school. So game days, especially like double headers in football, are like 12-hour days for me.
I know you stayed in a hotel a couple of them days, a couple of them nights maybe.
Once, and that was when we were getting this Daktronics stuff installed. And that's because we didn't have those type of, you know, state-of-the-art things. So I wanted to stay there while the company that was installing it to ask like questions. So literally that's the only time. Wow. And that was because I just wanted to ask questions.
Yeah, that's crazy. So heading into HU, what's the most exciting thing you're looking forward to other than having help?
I'm looking forward to one, being able to facilitate the move from the Big South to the CAA. So of course the news came out, they're leaving the Big South. But to actually be a part of that transition, I'm definitely interested in taking their content, their engagement to a next level. They're kind of on the more traditional side, but then also the game attendance and things of that nature, just turning it into the program and the university that it already is, but just being able to put my imprint on those things. And then also to be working with new people. They believe in me. Some people that are there that I don't even personally know reached out to me about the job, and they kind of, you know, believed in me to the point where I'm like, do you even know me like that? And you're, you know, boosting me like this. So it's exciting to go somewhere where they have already opened the door and warm welcomed you.
Yeah, I got you. So one of your life quotes that you live by, right? Reach back and lift as you rise. That's something that you're really big on. What is that? What does that mean? Tell us what that means to you.
Okay, so I have a lot of quotes that I live by because I'm a quote junkie. So like my house is full of quotes everywhere. But for me, that was personal to women in sports specifically because we love to like say on social media, and we've been going through an era of like uplifting Black women in sports or women in sports in general. But sometimes women are not nice to women in sports. And I've been able to meet amazing women in sports, and I've been able to meet some women that they were nice to you until they started viewing you as competition. And then things change. So I feel like I'm always mentoring other girls. I'm always like giving them, different tips, presenting them with different opportunities, because I feel like I don't mind lifting somebody else as I'm riding. I don't feel like it's always, a crab claw to see who can get to the top and how fast. So that's just my thing. And it's worked for me. That's just the person I am. And yeah, I'm not really the kind of person that's like, if you get this opportunity, then I won't, I feel like what's for me is what's for me, and I'm going to work hard for whatever I deserve.
That's real. That's very important today. And why do you feel like that? Why do you feel like that mentality is important for you, or for women in general, or people in general?
It's important to me because I've had people like that around me that have poured into me. They have believed in me. They have given me opportunities. So I feel like I owe it to the game. I owe it to who's ever next, because that's what I've had. And if I can make sure that, students or people that are interested in working in sports, they meet someone like me and they're uplifted versus meeting some of the other types of people that can really, put you down, then I feel like I can make a difference. And I actually know that, for example, I was in the arena today. Well, I left the arena for this interview. I'm going to head back as soon as I'm done. But I was in the arena today and I got a text message from a SID at another school. And she's like, my mentor is obsessed with you. And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, my mentor, she's obsessed with you. She like read out. I was like, why did you give her a number? She's been sitting beside me half the day. So she, when she came back out, I gave her my number because I had saw her at the volleyball championship that she had worked. And she was like, yeah, as soon as I met you, I looked up all your articles. And I thought it was so crazy because I'm like, dog, I'm not that important. Like, I'm just, but it's like, it makes a difference. It makes a difference.
That's right. And you are that important though. You are that important because you've been doing this for a long time, it seems like, and you only getting better. So salute to you on that. And speaking of owning it to the game, it seems like the game owes you nothing, because we're getting ready to get into the salute session. And I'm getting ready to highlight a lot of what she's done up to this point. And I haven't put everything on here because I didn't have enough room or enough time, because we could be here for about 2 hours. But y'all listen to this. So obviously you're a thriving woman in sports, obviously. You were a successful Boo Williams Sportsplex marketing coordinator, responsible for Boo Williams partnerships with East Bay, Champs, Buffalo Wild Wings, Chick-fil-A, and other businesses. That's remarkable. You took part in the NCAA Emerging Leaders Program, the Women Leaders in College Sports, and the NFL Careers in Football Forum. You participated in the MLB Winter December meetings the MLB Winter December meetings program for 3 years while in college. You created a sports show called More Than a Scoreboard, in which you produced, wrote, directed, and hosted as a graduate assistant. You worked for the Washington Redskins when their name was the Redskins. That's part of the game day staff on the public relations team in 2018-2019.
By the way,
Say again.
By the way, I'm a Cowboys fan.
Oh, that was hard. I know that was hard.
I was there the game that we missed the field goal to win.
That's tough. I'm kind of mad at you for that though, because I hate Dallas. We'll get into that later. You hosted your own event for women and entrepreneurs called She's a Boss, and the boss stands for beautiful, optimistic, strong, and successful. You have multiple nonprofit contributions in the Virginia area, and you've also assisted a handful of universities in Virginia with marketing and media operations. And that's like, I could have kept going. That's incredible though. How do you feel about like all of that at your young age?
Honestly, I can't take the credit. Like, that's God, and I wholeheartedly, like, one thing I will never question is my faith, because sometimes I'm really like, why did you choose me? Like, if people knew my whole story, like, yeah, it's God, and I feel blessed and grateful, like, and more so grateful that I've been able to do it with like my values and my integrity intact. Because a lot of times it's hard, you see the iceberg and everybody sees the top, but they don't really understand, like, all right, before you was ever at the top, you were at the bottom of the bottom. And they don't see the grind. They don't understand it. They don't understand the sacrifices. But I'm grateful that God, one, he gave me a mentality that I might get knocked down, but I'm never knocked out. Like never. I'm a huge Kobe. Like Kobe is my all-time favorite athlete. His mentality, like I was a Lakers fan, so probably when I was in the 6th grade, 5th grade, like I just started watching Kobe, and more so even in his passing, like his quotes are all over my house. It's like the mentality, because after a certain part of, like as I grew up, I stopped looking up to certain people, and I'm like, I'm running out of people to look up to. Like, so I really looked up to Kobe just for like the mindset. I'm like, dog, this is what I feel, but he's actually explaining it, and I don't hoop or nothing, but like a lot of like the sacrifices and the things that he does, I'm like, okay, this all makes sense to me.
Yeah.
So I definitely have to just, it's
Yeah.
God. I feel great. There's been times like it's not always a cakewalk. Like when I was an intern, one of my graduate assistantships, my supervisor there, once it was like close to the end, I asked him would he write me a recommendation letter just so I can have it like for the future. And he looked me straight in my face and was like, I'll write you a recommendation letter for a marketing position, but I won't write you one for being a sports information director. And I was kind of like, dang. So, but the crazy thing is, he don't even know I appreciate him. That gave me a feel like no other. Like, count me out. I want to be the underdog. I like that. Like,
Right.
do that to me, because sometimes people are going to tell me exactly what I want to hear when I want to hear it. I need someone that's going to push me. So it felt some type of way, but at the end of the day, it felt some type of way for maybe 5 minutes. After those 5 minutes, it felt good because I already knew what was up.
That's real. That's real. So I do want to hit a couple. I want to talk briefly about a couple of these. What did you learn from all of those programs that you took part in, like the NCAA Emerging Leaders Program, the women's leaders in college sports? What did you learn from those programs?
Networking. But a lot of people preach networking, and it kind of becomes this thing where it's like robotic. I'm big on emphasizing to genuinely network. Everyone is not going to be your cup of tea. I don't kiss butt, and I also understand everybody is not going to be for me. How they matriculate may be not the type of person I am. I don't want to matriculate and obtain goals if I have to sacrifice my character. I don't want to reach the next level if I have to constantly be putting someone else down, or putting someone else in the fire so that I can thrive. So a lot of times we talk networking. I believe in networking 1,000%, but do it genuinely. Don't do it always to see like what you can get out of a person. I don't use people. So network genuinely, be authentically you. People will say your name in rooms that you have yet to walk in. Every experience that I have got to date has been because of a previous networking opportunity or a previous time that I was at an event and I spoke to someone. Literally every single opportunity I've had to date on my resume. And just yesterday, I've been doing the post-game press conferences for the CIAA. I've been doing that since I was a sophomore. But yesterday, a coach was wrapping up I was wrapping up, and I called the coach amazing. And then after the press conference was over, she was kind of tickled when I called her amazing. She was like, "Oh my God, you called me amazing." So after I talked to her, and I was like, "Yeah," she was like, "What's your name again?" I was like, Shalyn Moore. I told her where I was at, and it's crazy because she was like, "You're the girl that had your girls on the spinny thing and the videos for Midnight Madness." She was like, "I told them to go after you." And I'm like, "Huh?" She was like, "I tried to get them to hire you here." I don't know her. Like, I've been around the CIAA since I was a freshman. So like I know who's who. I watch the games, but I don't personally know her. But it was crazy because once she realized where I was from, she was like, "I was telling them to hire you here." So it's just crazy. So genuinely network. Before she told me that, when I told her she was an amazing coach, I didn't know that she had told them to try to hire me a few months ago. I really thought she was an amazing woman. I felt like I'm not the woman that's going to be like, I'm scared to give somebody else their flowers. Like, you're dope. I'm going to tell you. Like, me shining your light does not dim mine. So network genuinely and be authentic.
That's real. That's real. What was your experience with the Washington Redskins? What was that like?
That was one of those things where it looks amazing on paper, but that taught me next level sacrifice. It taught me next level grind. And it came about because I was at the NFL Careers in Football Forum, and after their communications head person spoke, I introduced myself. I had my printed resume out. I had my business cards out. And hey, I introduced myself, did my elevator speech, and then I followed up genuinely, and that led to other opportunities. But I say it was a sacrifice because the other students that were a part of that game day program all went to the University of Maryland. So that's about 30 minutes from FedEx Field, if that. I was working 2 jobs. I was still at the I don't think I was still at them yet. I was working 2 jobs, and then I lived in Hampton. Game days, we had to be there 8 hours before kickoff. So games in the NFL, either if it's a Monday or Thursday night game, it's around 6, 8. If it's a Sunday game, it's usually around 1 kickoff. So FedEx Field is 3 hours from Hampton. So I would have to get on the road at like 3 a.m., drive to Maryland. I would find a Target or something, change my clothes so that I was business casual when I arrived. And then I'm there 8 hours before kickoff. Then you have the entire duration of the game. After the game, we had post-game press conferences and things that we had to transcribe. So you really don't leave till 2 hours after the game is over. And then I'm leaving to get in the car and drive 3 hours to go home. And I also have to work the next day. So it was one of those things where it built character and it was sacrifice. But for me, it was like, this person believed in me to say yes. I asked him, could I do it? He said yes. He betted on me. So like, I owe it to, finish what I started. So
that's real.
It was definitely
that right there is a lot. That was a lot. Jesus Christ. Last but not least, talk to me about She's a Boss. I know that excited you. I know that's probably one of your highlights. You probably have a lot of highlights, but that got to be one of them.
That was an amazing experience. And then it was also a horrible experience. And I'm just going to be real. It was amazing because it was a vision that I had and I executed it. And the response and the feedback that I got from the people that were there, the people that got to participate, was amazing. But it was an experience that I really had to open up my eyes and learn you can't help everybody and everybody can't come where you're going. Because, I had people that I may not have known really close, but that I knew and that I kind of, allowed them to come on that journey with me. But it just kind of hurt because it taught me a tough lesson. So an amazing time in my life, an amazing thing that I accomplished. I kind of was like, it left a bad taste in my mouth at the same time. But it was definitely amazing. Like I said, any chance that I have to help someone else out, mentor them, I do. Even here at this tournament, my mentee came down, so she's been there, just like being able to see different things. So, yeah,
that's real. This is random, but I know your mentees got to be in there. Whenever you're talking to them, they got to be soaking up as much as possible. I know they be loving it. Do you have a lot of one-on-one time with them?
Not really, because the one that's here now, she attends Virginia State, and so we've only been around each other maybe 2 or 3 times, but their professor was my professor. So they kind of reached out to me like, we have these students, can you, mentor them? So that happens often. And I do as much as I can from where I'm at. But then when there's opportunities for them to actually come somewhere where I'm at, I try to make sure that they get a leg up on taking those opportunities. So that's great for me too.
That's real. So transitioning. You've been around sports forever. What is the one component of sports that you apply within yourself on a day-to-day basis?
I would definitely say life is like sports. Like a lot of times we find ourselves like simply going through the motions of life, playing not to lose instead of like really playing to win. And I kind of mean like we second guess ourselves a lot. We hold back on ideas, moves, dreams. We put time limits, mental limitations on our goals. And it's kind of fixated on like, what are the what ifs that we're trying to navigate through life and play tiptoe. But I realized like when I decide to win, I don't hold back. And it's crazy because you ask me like, how do you feel about all these things you accomplished? I feel like I haven't been playing to win. I feel like there's so much more I could be accomplishing right now. I'm like constantly torn between like, you're doing great and you're not doing enough. And I'm constantly torn between it. Sometimes people think like you don't have to be perfect. Like I'm never seeking perfection. That's not it. But I just know, like, you know, on those moments where you're given 1,000%, then those other moments where like I'm doing the bare minimum and people are blown away. Like, so, but only you know that. So I can know, like, somebody may think I did amazing on something and give me all these kudos. And then in my head, I'm like, I did that in about 2 hours right before. Like, for example, if I told you I wrote an essay about this interview and you think, oh, I'm blown away. But really, I just wrote something down 5 minutes before we got on the call. Like, those sort of things happen. And you're like, dog, if they thought that was good, imagine if I really like did what I knew I was capable of. Mm-hmm. By the way, I didn't write nothing down. I didn't have time. I just rushed from the arena.
That's real.
Yeah. It's taught me to like start playing to win, because a lot of times we're just playing not to lose. And if I continue to play not to lose, I wouldn't have the job that I have now. I wouldn't be headed to Hampton. I would literally just be going through the motions and trying to stay put. And sometimes staying put, it's not helping you grow and elevate to where you know you can be.
That's real. That's real. Well, Shaylin, I appreciate this. Was really great. This was really great. I feel like this would be really informational for some woman, even a man that wants to go through sports. You have a lot of knowledge. You've did a lot at your young age, as I said earlier. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. Is there anything that you want to leave our audience off with?
I would just say, whoever, maybe right now you're like in between whatever you think you want to do, what you think you're supposed to be doing. Don't go by society's timelines. Like, those things will be the life and death of you. Whatever you want to accomplish, just grind away at it day after day. The only thing that can get in your way is you. Build consistent habits. That's something I need to even do a better job of, because sometimes we get comfortable and our comfort zones can be our demise. So just stay focused, grind it out.
I love that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up episode 30. Like I said, I appreciate you being on here. If you guys want to follow me on Twitter or Instagram, it's tscotty_. Also follow my life development pages at _rise to the occasion. Shaylin, do you want to throw us out there, or you good? I understand. I just ask all of my guests that. It's cool.
My page not open, but I accept some requests.
I got you.
What's my Instagram? Oh, can you just put it up there? Mine's got like a whole lot of underscores.
I don't have the ability to do that right now, but I know it's like _Shaylin.
Okay, it's _Shaylin _____.
Hey, look, you gotta catch her. She said you gotta catch her in person, basically.
I'll be outside though.
That's funny, Shaylin. I appreciate you again. Y'all go ahead and like, subscribe to this video. Thank you again.